Hi guys, how are you all? Can't reiterate the importance of getting the floor plan 100% correct. You've got to look at what the market needs, and you need to design what you're building or what you're developing to meet the market, most importantly, especially if you're trying to get the best outcome to justify the development. So who am I? Jerry Geeshan, of course, 11 North property, real estate agent for 25 years and a property developer for pretty much the same period of time as well. Overseeing sales over 6 billion and counting. I've had 4 offices at one point under the brand of Buxton with close to 100 staff. I've purchased, developed and sold over $250 million in real estate. And of course, I've branded out, after I sold the Buxton offices, I branded out to 11 North and created that, of course, of which I'm the director. And I've been involved with, funded, whether it's JVs or myself, 60 developments, and of course, counting. Thanks, Rob. So the project that I'm going to talk about today is just one that's just been completed. It's blown out in terms of price, in terms of time as well. But you get the design right. You fit it to meet the market, you can get a premium price, which I just recently sold this project. It's in Bentley East in Melbourne, purchased in 2021, a 2-lot development duplex, approximately 780 square metres of land, and residential zone 1 in the city of Glen Eira, which is in Bentley East. How the deal was sourced, I'm very active in that area, in multiple councils throughout Melbourne, but more particularly in Glen Eira. So I've been active and always looking. This was a property that purchased after auction, so it passed in at auction. I saw the opportunity, negotiated favourable terms and a favourable settlement at a favourable price, of course. So that was purchased in July 2021. So usually developments finish a lot quicker. It's just finished now, but usually developments finish a lot quicker than what this has. But there's a lot of delay in the industry, in every element, in terms of getting funding, in terms of construction costs, in terms of reliability of trades, builders, etc. So everything, all your timeframes now as a developer have blown right out, which can affect the bottom line, of course, especially when you're paying a lot of money on interest. So Daffodil Street was a joint venture. Close friends of mine went Harveys with me. We actually came here to Big Plans, went over their design, made sure that it fit the bill for them. I guess they created their dream home. They're living in there now and they're loving it. Very, very happy. We had different ideas on design. I designed more to command a premium in the marketplace based on what's lacking in the area. Yeah, so they designed the home to meet their needs and how they live. I designed to look at what I try to identify what's missing in the marketplace and meet that. For example, going over the points that Tass mentioned earlier regarding, what's missing in a lot of properties. Another element that probably is overlooked a lot is storage. Getting a lot of storage in a development, especially with a 4 or 5 bedroom home, is very, very important. With this JV, and this is what I do with a lot of JVs, we go out and look for the property and we buy it together rather than someone giving me the land and I cover the build. I just feel that we start on a much more even plateau that way and it's straight down the line. But we created a partition agreement allowing the separation of land. Finance was obtained for the purchase and then further finance was obtained for the construction. So site assessment, there are many variables. I never buy a piece of real estate without understanding fully what can be done on the property. And it's not just simply going to a draftsperson because they can get it wrong. You go get advice from a draftsperson or an architect, they might tell you on the cold face that you can get 2 units, but there may be underlying issues or restrictions or other elements that they're not quite aware of, and it can affect the development. I always get a town planner involved. I always go and look at the site myself. I always check for power poles and trees. Making sure, a big thing with developments, sometimes you have a very big Telstra pit that may prohibit you getting a second crossover on. To remove that big Telstra pit can cost you anywhere up to $50,000, so it can really impact the development. Trees, pit locations, existing local precedents. Bentley East has a lot of dual occupancies, so you're fairly safe. However, there could be something underlying that can affect it. And of course, more importantly, review of the plans at Big Plans Melbourne. In fact, I've done that with a couple of developments where I've sold them off the plan because I'm a real estate agent. We sell a lot of our projects in-house to make the buyer feel comfortable, which is very important. It's part of that journey that Tass was talking about before. Part of that journey is getting them here, making sure that they can understand fully what it is that they're buying. The other thing with a lot of developers, I get a lot of plans put across my desk regularly, and a lot of developers don't pay attention to the floor plan. They just rely on the draftsperson to get the plans done. They get everything done and they start building, and it affects and it impacts the bottom line. These are the floor plans. So I'll highlight a couple of things. So dwelling one, which is, hang on a sec here. My one is dwelling two. Now I put a bigger laundry in. On the upper floor, you might be able to see here that there's a very large linen across the hallway. I put a separate home office in, and then I put also another home office in the master bedroom upstairs. These were really emotional touch points that resulted in a very good outcome for me when I put it to the, well, I actually didn't put it to the market. I found the right buyer, I introduced it to them, and we sold it before. Issues and complications, well, there are a lot of them. First of all, the delay in construction, the cost of construction. I like to, before I engage a builder, I like to get everything priced myself. So I go to the steel guy, I get the timber quantities done. I look at all the materials, I cost up the appliances, the flooring, I do everything. I get all the quotes so that I can understand that when a builder is giving me a price, I can understand what margin they're dealing with. And it keeps me ahead of the game, and it keeps, I guess, keeps them honest as well. But a lot of the builders I use, I have repetitive relationships with, and that's just been built over a long period of time. So yeah, initial engineering. We got the engineering done. Of course, I don't profess to know a lot about how much goes into it in terms of steel and timber, but I got the steel costed and I nearly fell over. So then I had to go back to get engineering redone. I had to say, look, how can we save money? I had arguments with the engineer about why he did that. I actually engaged another engineer, ended up saving about 50 grand on steel, which is great, but it's still a high-end build. You know, cost management and repricing, always looking at what things cost and the bottom line. Challenges, delayed construction costs, building surveyor. Oh my God, I had a nightmare with the building surveyor. They just found, building surveyors, they'll find reason to come back to site and keep billing you and charging you all the time. So if you can find a reasonable building surveyor that doesn't, you know, of course they've got to abide by the law and they've got to do everything according to code, and I don't dispute that in any capacity. But it's very easy for a building surveyor to create a bigger problem than something is and then charge you for it. And, you know, performance solutions or additional inspections. And at the slab stage, they were doing the pre-pour inspection. The surveyor was delayed. The concreter had concrete trucks there. The concrete was going to go dry. They came out, they said, oh, you need to redig a certain part of it for the footing. And I'll come back later. He didn't come back. The concreter ended up pouring anyway, which resulted in a lot of cost. I didn't wear it. I put it back on the concreter to wear the cost because he didn't listen to the building surveyor, but there was a lot of headaches and delays with that. You know, value management, rising interest costs, my goodness. It's a difficult climate. So you've got to be very, very careful and mindful of all of these things. I guess opportunities, strong home buyer market. Bentley East is an area where people will spend for the right product. There are a lot of similar products available on the market. I feel what we provided had a lot of points of difference that were available, which resulted in the outcome. You know, cost plus. So this build actually, in fact, was cost plus, but the way that I do cost plus is I do a fixed price. I don't do a percentage. We agree on a sum. That's their fee, and I assist along the way in managing the costs. You know, a lot of people feel uncomfortable about doing cost plus because they feel as though the builder might rip them off, which is very valid and very fair. The builders I'm dealing with or dealt with on this project have done many, many projects for me. So we're friends. We've even done a JV together. So there was a relationship there. There was trust there, which is very, very important. You know, saving opportunities through constant re-engagement of consultants, constant re-engagement of repricing things, painters, plasterers, everything. You know, nailing the floor plan, nailing the design. You know, you manage the costs and the outcome will follow. But it's very, very important that when you're embarking on a development journey, that you pay very, very close attention to what the buyer market is in that particular area. Very, very important. If you can provide something that is a point of difference you'll get a better outcome than anyone else. Exactly like the 3Ds, I like to be pretty accurate with these things. It's important that, you know, our reputation is intact, and what we say we're going to do, we actually do and follow through with. There are opportunities to save money sometimes as a developer, but especially if you've pre-sold it, if you want to build a good reputation, deliver what you've promised. It might cost you a little bit more, but you don't know. They might have a friend that's looking to buy something. They might refer you. I've had plenty of properties that I've sold off the plan, and their friends have come and bought from me as well. It's just about reputation and integrity, I guess, to a larger extent. The numbers, which aren't that great. It used to be a lot better than now. However, these were the estimated cost of the project. So look, just a rough summary, estimated costs of the project were about 3.35 to 3.4. Gross realisation was just short of 4. Funnily enough, because I did the right floor plan, provided a quality product, I exceeded the price of the market despite the market being lower, right? But if you look at the end figures, the costs were about 300 grand more, just interest, construction costs and everything. And the gross realisation was in fact higher. I've based it off both of the units because the other one, even though it hasn't sold and they're moving in, I've based it on the fact that it's typically, well, the bank valued it, it's typically worth what I sold it for, which is 2,090,000. So, you know, we got 2,090,000 in a market that typically gets 1.7 to 1.9. Just a bit of a timeline as well. It is what it is. And it's not necessarily the fault of the builder though. There are many, many variables now. But you still come out on top if you do the right thing. I think I could do it quicker. Yeah, I think I could do it a lot quicker by not doing it as a cost plus, but then I probably wouldn't have saved as much.
That's what I didn't understand.
So I asked the question, what do you think the project's going to cost to build? And back then we were running numbers around 1.4, 1.5. I said, right, I'll give you 150 grand plus GST. You all right with that? I cover all the bills, I pay all the bills, I assist with quoting, I assist with management of everything, and that's your fee.